Hey guys, welcome into the Bear With Us podcast. The real Bear With Us podcast is Aaron Rodgers just gets his fucking nuts kicked in by the Buffalo Bills defense. We always like to see that. I'm Jack. He's Nas. That's Frank. Nas, welcome your official debut to the Bear With Us podcast, the real one,
Good to
2024.
be back. Yeah, sorry I missed that first third of the season, but wow, the timing worked out pretty nicely, huh? My
Well,
my
we
guy
we we
playing pretty
we
good
just we just told
football.
everybody you were waiting until the tail Caleb actually had a good game for you to join us. So everyone's kind of expecting you to be
Oh
here
yeah,
for this
yeah. I had
episode.
nothing. No, no,
Yeah.
that wasn't it.
That
Yeah, it's
still wasn't it.
listen. If we can sort of what is that phrase? Unveil the curtain or whatever, reel it back. Nas was panicking in the first 2 weeks because Justin Fields was looking like the Justin Fields of Ohio State, and Caleb was just looking
I'm
like a sucker who paints his
Oh
nails. And this guy
my
just waits till
God.
he
Let's
stacks a
just
couple of games where he looks like an NFL quarterback.
easy, easy.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody calling for Jayden Daniels in Chicago more than Nas at that point. He
Agreed.
was like,
You
oh
know,
fuck.
for all our listeners who have been here for multiple seasons, they know I was calling Caleb. They know I wanted Justin out. I was I'm pretty sure if we roll back the tape, I will have said while Caleb was at USC that he was better than Justin in that moment. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that where my loyalties lie. Justin looking like a rookie still. Come on, come on. But it's good to be back, boys. I'm glad. Thanks for the little grill session there. I appreciate it. Feels good.
Well,
Feels
we
good
had to
be
prepare
back.
something for you. We've been taking subtle shots at you for the last 5 weeks or so. Just you know,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I
you weren't here
understand.
to defend yourself. What am I supposed to do? You know?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that makes sense. I love the
But no, we're
integrity.
we're we're glad to have you back. We've missed your thoughts on things, and so really, Frank and I gave our thoughts on the instant reaction, immediate reaction to the Bears' 35-16 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars in London to advance to 4-2 on the season, still somehow last in the NFC North, which is just incredible in my opinion. So before we get too far down the road, Nas, if you want to talk full season of Caleb, if you want to talk just specifically this week about Caleb's performance, I do want to start there. You've been calling for this kid since Mitch was here. You've been saying look out for Caleb Williams when he gets to Chicago. So let's just start there. What are you thinking about Caleb? And again, you can start from week one. Let's talk about week six. However you want to do this. The floor is yours.
I would like to say that when I saw Caleb week one, he was worse than I expected, but he has grown faster than I've expected. So it was kind of like I was expecting him to come out a little more polished. I don't know how much of that, because I honestly don't know what they do at practice. Every opening drive's a fucking disaster. So it was also like I was kind of grading him on a curve because I know he's not working with like the best staff in the league, but the improvement week to week has been impressive. The balance of the team has been impressive overall. Like I know I'm sure you guys have spoken about the O line.
Not once, actually. We haven't touched on the line a single time this season,
What's to
believe it
talk
or
about?
not. Yeah, what's
I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's a tough thing to watch sometimes, especially those first couple of weeks. But seeing Caleb adjust and doing those special things that only he and like let's be real, there's only one or two other guys can do that. What he can do in terms of escapability and making plays and keeping eyes upfield, it's all been great. What's funny is the best part about him that I loved about him in college, outside of the escapability, was the deep ball, and that hasn't even gotten here yet. And this was like what I thought was like a huge strength of his. So seeing that everything else is already getting shored up, and he's already a good game manager. That's the crazy part about him. He's already good at managing the game, especially when we go in no huddle. He knows what he's looking for. He's finding mismatch. He got them on a too many men on the field. He's got that sort of command of the offense. He got everybody on the line. He got a flag on the Jags yesterday for 12 men on the field. That was awesome. And I did want to dispel some false narratives coming into the season. And I don't want to say that any of this is an insult at Jayden. He's having a great rookie season, great rookie campaign. But to say that this is like, oh, his to lose at this point is far from the truth. All the haters out here saying the Bears haven't played anybody, go take a look at the fucking Commanders schedule for a second. All right. And I have some numbers to just back
I'm
up.
shocked. I'm
Wow,
shocked.
what are the odds? What are the odds? I just want to point out that the Commanders have not faced one defense that's top 10 in pressure rate. So they're like, oh, he's got this awful old line and he's doing all this shit. It was like, he's not getting touched. No one's coming after him. The Bears have already faced two teams in the top half in that category. Okay. The Commanders haven't faced a top 10 pass defense yet. Like, so there's no he's got all time to throw, and then there's not a lot of talent on the back end, and that's going to change in 2 weeks because the team that he's going to see in 2 weeks is top 10 in pressure rate and top 10 in passing yards allowed, and he is going to struggle, and they're top half in run defense and run yards allowed. So he is going to struggle when he actually plays a legitimate defense. He has not done that yet. The Ravens, everyone's like, oh, the Ravens are going to like bring him back down to earth. And you guys have the text, and I said it to you. He was going to light them up because their back end is awful. And they don't have Mike McDonald anymore, putting them in positions to succeed. They're like second in pass yards allowed on the season, the Ravens. It's a joke. And now, granted, the Ravens have also faced Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and now Jayden, and there's one more quarterback that I'm missing. Like, it's not like that they're that bad. They've been playing really good quarterbacks, but just, for reference, the Commanders they certainly have not played anybody. And do you guys remember, like, there was like that stat, hey, the Commanders have scored 14 times in a row. After like week 3, it was like they haven't punted in like 17 drives.
Yeah.
Did you know that there was 7 drives in a row that led to field goals in the middle of that, and people are counting those as scoring drives? Where are all the stat nerds for that one? Huh? Like, we're always talking about, oh, skip the field goal, go for 4th down. The Commanders took 7 field goals in a row in one game against the fucking Giants. And people were counting this as like a positive for Jayden, that they scored 15 times in a row.
That's nasty narrative work.
Goals. Like, that's absurd. That's absurd. Which brings me to this. Their red zone conversion rate can't hold a candle to what the Bears are doing once they're in the red zone. The Bears are at scoring 2/3 of the time. And while the Commanders are only scoring like 45% of the time or 50% of the time or something like that. And Caleb has caught up to Jayden in touchdown passes, yards per attempt. He is right there in the thick of the race. So anybody who's thinking like, oh, this is Jayden's to lose, it's like, now this is a 2-man race. Absolutely at this point. Yeah. So there's my little, for those of you who are thinking, oh, I'm not coming in hot. I'm coming in very hot. Caleb's the guy. He's been unleashed. Here he is. A bye week going, and then the Caleb versus Jayden showdown. Not in prime time. Not sure why, but
yeah, that's a mistake.
It's whatever. It's whatever. But I do love the noon games because I like routine for me and for them. So for me personally, I love the noon game, but I want Caleb's unveiling to the whole NFL population. I want everyone to see this he's fucking here.
Yeah. There's 2 things that I have based on the things that you had said, and then Jack, if you would like to speak your piece before we dive into some other things. One, Naz, I'm actually very surprised that I guess you worded it different. So maybe if you want to clarify, but the way that I took that you saying you thought he'd start off hotter. I think everyone did. No one expected that game 1. That was crazy. But then from that game, did then your expectations get a little bit lower for you to then say then he progressed much faster than I thought? Is that what happened? Week 1 was sort of a shell shock of okay, maybe he's not as advanced as we all thought.
Yeah, I felt what I was expecting was someone who was going to have a handle on it week 1.
Right.
And he looked so out of sorts and running for his life. And I don't think that live action in a real game was something he was ready for. And I think it took him a couple weeks, and he adjusted. And now he's like far ahead of where I thought he would be, given the new baseline that I saw week 1.
I see.
And maybe that week 1 was like, maybe it was just, it went so sideways that it wasn't a true depiction of where he was actually.
Yeah.
You know, and so I probably changed the baseline for him, which has then now made this little increase in improvement so much more fun. I think his passer rating's gone up every single game except for like 1.
And it went down to like a couple points.
Context. We have a little more context as to maybe why that week 1 was a little bit slower of a start, given some game planning things that we learned a little bit later on, which we'll get to. We'll get to.
Well,
we'll get to that.
So Naz, so that's sort of part of the first thing, and I'm actually surprised that you would even adjust your baseline for him. I know week 1 was a wreck, but you were the first person to ever tell me, and for those who maybe knew, or if this gets clipped or whatever on TikTok or Instagram, I don't watch college football at all. So I hear names and I have no idea what they're doing or how good they really are. I watch tape after the season for dynasty drafts and get a real good feel for them. So everything that I'd seen were like these insane highlight clips from Caleb Williams that were, not within the structure of a game. I'm like, that's great. He has the physical tools. You'd see that by just watching that. But Naz, you were the first person to tell me like what he does in structure is already advanced, not only past Justin Fields, but like he's probably a top 15 quarterback in the league right now. And I was like, holy shit, like I've never heard anyone, not the draft buffs, not all the people on ESPN. And when I finally started to actually break down the film, I was like, holy shit, Naz was right. So even, I guess I'm surprised you question yourself with that, because even in week 1, we saw the checks at the line, we saw the audibles, and I was like, even for as bad as it was, I still saw the small things that, to your biggest point, was like, he already manages a game. And I was like, the baseline for this kid is, his floor is so high just with that. Because even if like all goes to shit, he's going to be a game manager for 10 or 15 years and give your team, obviously he's more than that, and give your team a chance to win.
Yeah, I think that was just like the Bears fan and me, and like used to the misery that like, I was like, I need to recalibrate. Like whatever I thought he was, like, like I needed to adjust for like, oh, like, like how in Madden, like the players get like their ratings get adjusted, based on like I feel like, oh, like his Madden rating got dropped 5 automatically because he's going to the worst fucking QB franchise in the entire league's history. So naturally, whatever I thought he was, if he was an 85, he's an 80 now. It's just like, yeah. So
no, that makes sense.
I think that was more trauma that fucked me up on that one, and now we're here, and we're back to like where I thought we would be all along. So it's great.
100%. Second thing, and this isn't to disparage anything you said, because I'm on board with you. I think I can speak for Jack too with the numbers and the narratives and things. That is so dumb to me. But it's also just weird. I don't remember any other year where awards were talked about this early, or am I just like naive? But like it was week 2, agree. And everyone was like, Jayden Daniels, offensive run. I was like, what? It's week 2.
Yeah.
Even MVP, Sam Darnold, week 2. I'm like, what are we talking about? Like people weren't even talking about Lamar last year until like week 14 is when he started to get hot. They're like, maybe he's going to be the one. Like, why is all of a sudden this awards talk happening this early in the year? It's weird.
I think it's probably just like fresh blood type of thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, dude, it's also because people don't like Caleb. I honestly think that's part of it. I think people wanted to take their victory lap for not thinking this guy was going to be good, and those early results and Jayden balling out was helping their shit, and so they wanted to take their little victory lap. Little do they realize, even now, there's 11 games left in the fucking season. We're a third of the way through. So it's just like there's so much football left, and I don't know when the votes are due. I'm pretty sure all the votes get turned in before the end of the season even happens. But if they were to do it the right way, which I think every league should do, because don't the NFL give out their awards like in the off season now? Like, just wait till everything's done.
Yeah.
Just wait till everything's done and take the votes. There's so much that can happen in the next 11 games. There might be a third guy that emerges from all of this that we can't even see right now.
Like, what if Drake May just fucking lights the league on fire?
Yeah, literally. Like, that's how much football is left. So it's just, I do think there is something about Caleb, but not like he rubs people the wrong way for some weird, I don't want to get too deep into that reason.
I mean, we know.
And yeah, I mean, and Jayden says all the right things, does all the right things. He's got some swag to him. He's older. He's a little more mature. He's not as outspoken. So people like him. And people are hearing bullshit about Caleb trying to negotiate his contract, like pay me through my LLC, or I want to.
And how the dad is. His dad is LeVar Ball 2.0, even though we literally still have not heard a single thing from him. Like,
I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what Caleb's dad looks like, and I'm a Bears fan.
No clue. Have no idea. I know what Tyson Bagent's dad looks like. I could point him out.
Damn. Well, Tyson Bagent got 2 episodes of Hard Knocks himself. He's the backup quarterback. We talked a ton about that. That was pretty good stuff. Frank,
I think to go a little bit deeper into your question, I think the league is just like Pat Mahomes obviously is not playing his best football, and then it's sort of just the same teams that are good, right? It's the Bills are good, the Ravens are good. I think they're just kind of looking for anything right now, and obviously new is exciting, but it is super weird how quick they are to just dismiss anything that the first overall pick has done and just give all of the credit in the world to the second overall pick when he's played great. He's still a rookie too. It's just that he's not being asked to do nearly as much as Caleb was, and I think that's why it looks the way that it has looked. Now, Nas, to your point, you brought up some incredible statistics to back up what you were saying. It will change. He will hit some sort of wall. He will sort of have to adjust. Teams are going to have more tape on him. That offense still does not have a ton of weapons. Things are going to change. It just is what it is. And I think we've already seen Caleb hit one wall, obviously those first couple weeks, and now he's sort of adjusting, figuring out what his offense can do. He has an absolutely terrible throw on Sunday and then comes back with 4 straight touchdown drives. Like, we've very rarely as Bears fans have seen that. So to your
and that
point
wasn't the wrong read.
Oh, go on.
That guy, DJ was open. He just underthrew that ball.
Yep.
Because I think all the overthrows kind of got in his head.
Yeah, he didn't
and he's
step
like,
into
I gotta lay this out. Yeah.
He just kind of all-armed through that one. I get the national stuff too. I would love to see this game, obviously, either in the late window or even Sunday Night Football. That being said, I'm cool with the noon games for as long as we possibly can. Let's just keep this as a Bears thing. Let's just keep this a little more contained.
Listen, I understand both of you guys. I understand the routine. Jack, it sounds like you're hiding from expectations a little bit. Listen.
100%.
I said this a little bit. I said this a little bit yesterday, and maybe I was more measured in my take. But the more that I think about it, I have never been this confident in a Bears quarterback. Just when he drops back, as I see him surveying the field, when he releases it from his hand, I'm thinking like Rex Grossman. It was either a pick or an incompletion. It seemed like half the time. Jay Cutler, it was a pick or a touchdown. Mitch, it was probably just going to be an overthrow. Like, he didn't give no one a chance to catch the ball. And then Justin, you just didn't know what the fuck you were going to get, but he was such a good athlete that sometimes the spectacular would happen and you fell in love with that. But this kid, dude, like I'm ready for expectations. It sucks that we're in the NFC North because we would be, lo and behold, a playoff team in any other division. But even then, like we'll talk, obviously we have weeks to talk about this. Like, I'm excited. I'm going to be nervous. I always am. It just is what it is. But like, just the inner excitement, I haven't felt this waiting for a Packers game, waiting for a Vikings game. And now the Lions are good, waiting for a Lions game. Like, I want the expectations. I'm here. He's ready for it. Like, I've never been this excited.
Have you guys looked at the schedule at all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure you see all the division games, but who we play leading up to that, we could definitely be
very
6-2, 7-2 going into that stretch.
Who I know it's Washington. It's
then we play Arizona,
New England,
Arizona, New England.
Yeah, dude, this defense is going to eat Kyler alive.
I mean,
is the first division game, is that Thanksgiving against the Lions? Is that the first one?
Is that Thanksgiving? No, it's Green Bay. It's the week, 2 weeks before.
I have the schedule.
A week and a half before. Yep, Green Bay is right after New England.
We go Commanders, Cards, Patriots, then Packers the 17th. And then Vikings for Thanksgiving week. Oh no, and then we're gonna actually play Lions on Thanksgiving.
On
Yep.
Thanksgiving, right?
We have 2
It's the
games
early
Thanksgiving
window.
week.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's the new. It's not. Is it noon? No, it's like 11, I think,
It's
or
at
something.
11:30,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm looking at
The
it.
early one. God, that's gonna be awesome.
Oh my god, I can't fucking wait.
No,
And then
the Bears.
and honestly, like the other teams, like I know like the Vikings are 5-0 and they've gotten off to this hot start, and their defense is playing. You could definitely argue that they're playing as well, if not better, than our group.
Yep.
But are we really going to be scared of fucking Sam Darnold? Like, no, we're not. Like, those are like, no matter how well they're playing, like, I'm going to think we can win that game, right?
There's only one quarterback in this division I'm scared of, and it's Brett Favre and Jordan and Aaron Rodgers' little baby that they've made together.
Honestly, yeah. And I don't even think he's like that good. And he was like, if I were to power rank those three, like, we fuck Jared Goff up every year.
Yeah.
Every year we're like, those are gonna be games. I feel like we're the only team that can handle like their physicality on both sides of the ball. And I think those games are both gonna be close. And fucking Jaylen, have you guys seen the numbers on Jaylen
Johnson?
These Jaylen Johnson?
Pretty fucking good.
It's pretty insane. It's like getting eerily like, it's like, oh my god, like he's somehow gotten better kind of shit. It's like, I just feel like, and this bye we could not have come at a better time with the injuries that we've kind of like dealt with. Oh my god, like we're gonna go into, if we can like escape those 3 games where we play like those lower tier teams, if we can escape those, staying relatively healthy and have our guys for that stretch, oh man, it's gonna be. And the Hutch injury plays a role in this whole division race. It really does. So because it's like their next like big, like the other guy that they like depend on is like Marcus Davenport, who hasn't played like 12 games in like 5 years or however, like since his like rookie year. So
it's a winnable division.
Dude,
it's a winnable division.
Like, it really
it's a good division.
Yeah, it's a good division. We've all gotten off to hot starts. Playoffs are most certainly on the table. And now there's like what, 7 spots?
There's 7 spots. Is it mathematically possible for all 4 teams?
It is.
If there's a year, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's this year. But if I had to bet on a team that was going to fall off this year, it would be Minnesota. We're starting to see the cracks. We're starting to see old Sammy come back. I think people are forgetting that he's gotten off the hot starts before. Do you all remember the Carolina thing when he was like running a lot and they were like, oh, the revolution of Sam Darnold. He's back,
he's
baby.
Low-key fragile too. Like, yeah, he got a nasty hit in that London game and just kind of wasn't the same the rest of the way, and they like barely hung on. But he has gotten hurt like significantly in past seasons. Like he doesn't play every game. So it's like, there's that factor that you have to consider. Now
Montez, sweep the leg. Sweep the leg, Montez.
Who is it? Nick Mullins is their backup.
Yeah.
He threw 120-yard pass, got out, but like, whatever. And then Jordan Love, he's got some Will Levis in him, doesn't he?
A little bit, yeah.
That pick 6 out of the end zone, I was just like,
just incredible stuff.
A dude who did that,
truly incredible stuff.
Like I'm not, and like fucking Jared Goff, like I'm not scared of that bitch. So we're fine. We're fucking fine.
No, and I think this stretch coming up here before these division games, obviously every week is important, but this is going to be significant because all of these games are more than winnable. Washington, their defense is just garbage. It's just they came up against an awful Browns team with one of the worst quarterbacks of all time playing behind them. It's wild stuff what's going on with Deshaun Watson. The Cardinals just got absolutely killed by the Packers. We just saw that. And then the Patriots are, maybe they'll be more of a threat. Drake May has a couple of weeks, starting. That offense didn't look anemic anymore with an actual professional quarterback.
They had some
juice. Had some juice, but I'm not all that concerned about Drake May. So what I think this is a very important stretch, I think, for Matt Eberflus as the head coach overall to really cement his opportunity to go into these division games in a very, very good situation.
I'm so annoyed that dude's going to keep his job.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed.
Well, being annoyed with Matt Eberflus is
see.
a perfect segue into a side of the ball we have not spoken about really at all, because, and you know, we're very upfront. This franchise, this team is only going to go as far as the development of Caleb Williams. So he's always going to be a topic of discussion for as long as he's in a Bears uniform. Hopefully it's 30 years. But the defense has been balling. And to Naz's point, Eberflus is going to keep his job. Like he when you think about like, because let me say this. When we always talked about these last few years, what does Eberflus bring to the table? And we've always talked about the offensive side of the ball, sort of neglecting the defense. But this thing is a legitimate elite side of the football that he has not only helped build, but helped develop people. Like, you know, maybe you can say Jalen Johnson would be Jalen Johnson anywhere, but realistically, he developed under the tutelage of Eberflus. Dexter is taking that step that we all thought he could based on the different graphs and things that, you know, everyone said, this is what Ryan Poles saw in him in the second round, blah, blah, blah. But we're seeing this. We're seeing the good free agent signings in Billings and Edmonds and Edwards. Like, this thing is coming together from all phases. So, boys, I mean, I guess the floor is kind of ours here. I don't know what, is there any negative with this defense? I was going to ask, is, you know, do we want to talk negatives or positives? But the only thing I can think of is the rush defense. But even that, like, it gets leaky every now and then, but we're not being ran on like Adrian Peterson did to us back in the day. Like, this isn't, you know, there's a few trunk plays every now and then, but that's just going to happen throughout the course of a season. So do either of you have anything outside of injuries maybe, but that would be cause for concern at this point?
No, I'd rather be leaky on the run defense. Like, you can't lose games playing middle tier rush defense. Like, you know, the way we're pressuring way better than I ever thought we could. I thought we were good. I thought we were going to be like a good rusher short this year, and we were just going to kind of have to deal with it and rely on the back end. But we've been deep, we've been good, and we are just so balanced in coverage. It is remarkable. I think we have the best coverage team in the back seven in the league. Like, and I don't think it's particularly close. It's crazy.
I agree.
Between the linebackers and the three cornerbacks plus the nickel, like, or the two corners plus the nickel, like, I don't think anybody covers better than us. It's crazy. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but the turnovers that we're creating, it's impressive. It doesn't feel fluky. It feels like it's something being harped on and coached really well.
Hits principle, baby.
Shout him out, Nas. Shout him out, Nas. Hits, baby.
Yeah,
it's all about.
There might be something to it. And also in this era of coaching, I'm silver lining this, even though I like, as much as Flus annoys me with some of the lack of challenges, like the poor review, their operations, the sideline operations is so fucking bad. But when you look around the league, everybody else is shitty at this pretty much. Like, there's only a few teams that are decent at this at best. Like, I can't even like think of a team that I actually think is awesome at this. Even the Chiefs are shitty at this stuff. So it's like, it's not that big of an edge when everyone else is shitty at the same thing. So it's like, okay, and we're getting elite defense. So Flus is he's keeping his job. I don't know how he loses it this year. And he will not lose this job until we routinely get to the playoffs and he keeps making dumb decisions from a game managing. That will be like the turning point. But for right now, he is safe as can be.
And, you know, it's something we said, Jack, before you want to sort of throw in your 2 cents. Nas, do you remember, it was like a random episode in the offseason where we didn't have shit to talk about. We were talking about, like, why don't teams have, like, literally a role? That is, you are the sideline coach. You are the in-game management coach of, like, when to call timeouts, when to challenge. You're not focused on literally anything else in the game. Because the one thing that you brought up, you said this in the offseason, you were like, yeah, like, most teams are just sort of bad at it. It just is what it is, and it's a very annoying part of my watching experience, even for teams I'm not rooting for or, like, betting on or anything. And I feel like we have to get there, right? Because, and I said all that to say, like, we're fucking, well, I know I am. I'm like foaming at the mouth with Dan Campbell. I love the guy. I love his staff. I love what he's done, the culture there. But he's had like a handful of press conferences where he was like, yeah, it's on me, guys. It's on me. I told the boys that was totally on me. We went for it on 4th and 15 on our 20, and that was on me. And so I'm eating that one. And we're just like, yay, Dan, you owned up to it, but you still did it, right? Like, so to your point, like, even the great coaches that you like or love, whatever, they're still making pretty boneheaded mistakes too with challenges and timeouts and clock management in general. Jackie, I will say before it's thrown to you, it's very funny. This is how you know the Bears are a really good defense, because I asked, is anything wrong? And Nas went on for 10 minutes about how great they were. No, Frank, they're not. But let me tell you this. Jackie,
No,
talk
let
to
me
me,
tell
baby.
you what's
Any worries at all?
Obviously, the injuries are a little bit of a concern. You know, they're a little bit thin, obviously, in the secondary right now. So that makes me a little bit nervous. But overall, I guess I'm going to go to the Nas route. Like, having a bet of this good of a secondary is so much more important in a league like this, where if you can score quickly, which the Bears apparently can do now, they can score within 2 minutes, which is just mind-blowing stuff, and score touchdowns at that as well. You can give up longer runs, or not longer, but you can give up a few more runs here or there because it just kills clock. Like, Jaguars were not able to score quickly because the secondary is just that good. So they were having to go longer, 9-minute, 10-minute drives to score, where it was just impossible to come back within the given amount of time, and the offense being able to get first downs consistently. So yeah, I guess the depth is a little worrisome. The pass rush, I think, will probably still be an issue, just because there isn't that solidified starter. I like what they've gotten: DeMarcus Walker, Darrell Taylor, Austin Booker. I like what they've gotten opposite of Sweat, but will that be able to go for a full season? I think that's still TBD.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But the one thing though is, the one thing that's remarkable about this pass rush to me is Montez Sweat hasn't. I'm not saying he's playing bad, but the impact he made last year just jumped off the screen. He was getting sacks, tackles for losses. He's still getting in there, but we're seeing it start at the interior. Like, Billings is a big push for this. Dexter is a big push for this. Even Chris Williams is a big push for this. And I forgot he was on the roster until like 2 weeks ago when he made a play. I was like, oh shit, look at him go. And it's like, they talked about last year, and I know some of this gets to be cliche, and it is cliche, and that's fine, but cliches can be true sometimes. Montez Sweat is just that multiplier that they were talking about last year. It's not always going to be him. He calls for the offensive line to give him so much attention that all these other guys have to do is beat their one-on-ones, and they've consistently been doing that. So I do think there's going to be a tide shift in which they're like, okay, there's other guys we have to worry about, and then Montez will be the guy to start doing it. So to me, like, I'm not as worried with the pass rush. I think they're in a really good spot. Would it shock me, though, before the trade deadline, we toss a second or third, like if Max Crosby he's pushing coaches and shit? Like,
oh my God,
if he's
dude,
out there.
You just literally took what I was going to say.
Go ahead, take it. Take the baton.
I just think we're in a pretty rare position where, like, yes, it's really hard to get into the playoff picture, and I think any of these North teams could make a run if we get there. So it's like, if you think you have any shot to make a run, why not make a play? Like, we got that Carolina second rounder sitting there, that plus a first for Crosby. Like, see what like the market is for him, and you add him, and he's great in the run game too. And it's like these extended plays from Jordan Love and other quarterbacks like him, if we can keep them contained with an elite rusher on both sides who can rush properly and not just like run past them to open up lanes, I think it would be something definitely worth looking into. This is like the thing that people are always talking about, even with shitty rookie quarterbacks on a rookie deal. Oh, they're on a rookie deal. Like, go make the play. You have the money. It's like, we really do have it. We actually are in a scenario where we could do something like this, and I wouldn't put it past Bulls. The rush, and like I said earlier, we're top 10 in rush rate, which is surprising, but we also haven't played, again, our schedule has been soft too. So it's like, yep, when we get to the better teams, are we going to probably come back to the middle where I thought we would originally be? It's very much a possibility. So adding a rusher is not adding an elite rusher, which we can do because we have cap room and we have assets. It's definitely, I would hope, on the table.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? Oh, go ahead, Jack.
Oh, no, I was just going to say real quick. I'd be surprised if Ryan Poles doesn't make some sort of move at this point, right? Like, every offseason he's done something. So I don't think it's crazy to assume that he's looking at teams that maybe aren't where they thought they were going to be. We just saw the Jaguars trade Roy Robertson Harris to the Seahawks for like a 6th-round pick. So if teams like that are going to start selling, I expect Ryan Poles to be active. He always is. So I think we can safely assume that he will be looking at some of these teams that, again, maybe just aren't where they thought they would be at this point, and would like to add to this, especially with the start they've gotten off to and the opportunity they have with, I don't know, it's tough to call a soft schedule because it's the NFL and who the fuck knows what you're going to be dealing with on a week-to-week basis, but you're playing against 3 teams coming up here that the Bears realistically should beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and I want to end the episode with like maybe a trade target or a side of the ball you'd like to see. But before we get there, Naz, I would be curious because to your point of pressure rate that we get, I would like to know how much of that is off of the blitz, because when we talk about like coaches having advantages, that's one place that we've seen since Eberflus took over the play calling when Alan Williams was let go. That's what he brings to the table. Like, to me, that's how he's making his money right now. That's sort of his, call. What is that called? Just sort of like, that's the reason you don't fire him, basically. Like what he brings there. I mean, you see Kyler Gordon on blitzes. You're seeing Tremaine Edmonds hit home and TJ Edwards hit home on certain blitzes. Hell, when they're finally out of the nickel and Jack Sanborn gets in, he's been getting pressure not only this year but last year as well. Like, so I wonder how much of that is sustainable against good teams who are able to pick that up. That'll be, and I mean, they have to have some sort of internal metrics on that as well that would guide them as to who they'd want to trade. But I am a little more inclined, boys. I know we're talking defense, obviously, but in terms of just trading for the side of the ball, it wouldn't shock me if we look for an interior lineman. I think we're going to stick with the tackles. I think tackles probably too hard to midseason go to a whole new scheme anyway, but it would not shock me at all if we nabbed up a starting guard, maybe even someone who's a tad bit older too, just for value-wise, that can help if he has, say, 2 years left on his contract. I have not looked at who would be those targets, but that side of the ball to me would be an easy plug and play.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't think it'll cost nearly as much to get, to take a salary off someone's hands for some draft equity. To touch on what you were saying earlier about like how often we blitz compared to like what our pressure rate is. So we're 9th in pressure rate.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears are, and in terms of blitz rate, we're in the bottom 3rd. We're also in the top 10, or we're in the bottom 10 of like teams that blitz. So
wow,
Indianapolis blitzed the least, obviously, because they've been running Tampa 2 since we were in diapers, and the Bears are like 9th in that category. They're at 17%. But in terms of pressure rate, the Chiefs, no surprise there. And the Vikings, also no surprise, they're up around like 33% in terms of pressure rates. We're at 25. We're at 26 essentially. So we're 9th in that category. So we don't blitz a lot, but we're still top 10 in pressures, which is impressive.
It's and maybe just those plays jump off the screen more often than not, because I feel like every time Kyler Gordon blitzes, he's just back there making a play, like a tackle for a loss or a sack.
Some of that I think is just fucking instinctual shit. Like,
it might be.
It's like, oh, I have the running back here. Oh, he's staying to protect. I'm going in. And / he is like a dog in the run game, dude. Like, these dudes are setting the edge, and he is coming in and making these tackles. It's like, it was super impressive this past game when he was there.
I may have an affinity for slot corners because I feel the same way about him that I did Bryce Callahan in 2018. It's the same type of player, that dog, little undersized, good in coverage, good hand skills, but when it's time to make a tackle, he does not make business decisions.
Right.
I love it. Jackie, where are you at trade-wise? Do you have a preference or a specific target in mind?
Nothing specific. Honestly, I know you were talking about the interior of the line, and I'm going to be honest with you. I would obviously love to see them add, but I have a feeling that they're going to kind of hold until Ryan Bates and Larry Borum come back, because I imagine that will be sooner rather than later. I mean, they've gotten good play out of Matt Pryor. I think a lot better play than I would imagine expected to get from him. Bill Murray's been good. Obviously, Doug Kramer is kind of like in there as your fullback. I know we saw Amagaji in there at some of those goal line plays, so that was nice to see. I don't know, like there isn't a whole lot, like pun not intended, but there aren't a lot of holes on this team outside of like pass rusher. Maybe you could add something in the back end if you really aren't confident that Brisker, Stevenson, or Gordon are going to be back for a few weeks. Terrell Smith is obviously injured as well, but if the depth keeps adding up to being an issue, maybe you go something secondary, something not even that expensive. But I expect them to sort of hold on the offensive line because I think they're starting to gel. Now, granted, they haven't played great pass rushes these last couple weeks. Obviously, the Jaguars were much better than the Panthers were, but even then, the Jaguars aren't very good at pass rushing. So we'll kind of see. Tevin Jenkins obviously made it through the full game healthy, which was, I think, very good to see. He looked like he was out there looking to hit some guys. So that was encouraging to see. Yeah, I guess pass rusher, but even then they kind of already did that by trading for Jarrell Taylor, and that's kind of paid off as well. So, Zach Pickens still hasn't come back from whatever he's dealing with. I think it's the same injury that it's been throughout the offseason, which is a little weird because he hasn't been put on IR or anything. So not quite sure what's going on there, but I don't know. I don't know if they will add. And honestly, at this point, I don't think I would be all that upset if they didn't. Although I think, like I said, I think we can expect some sort of move from Ryan Poles at the deadline.
It feels to me, and I'm not even counting depth moves. I can see that on any, at any position if they wanted another receiver for special teams purposes, blah, blah, blah. But I'm thinking like someone who's going to start and make an impact and have a high percentage of the snap count. If we're thinking like a Max Crosby type, or even I've seen Hendrickson from the Bengals, if they decide that maybe,
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. But the thing, like, part of me feels this isn't a bad thing, but a move like that would be getting greedy in a good way. Like, this is like, hey, this is our window. And even if it's only maxing out this year or next year, to Naz's ultimate point, you can be greedy in these moments because you have what seems to be already top half of the NFL quarterback on a rookie deal in his first year. So if they pull something like that off, man, it's, again, we won't need it. I would not be upset if they did not make a move, but
like where would a starter like you're talking about, like, really realistically play? Like, the only real opening is on the edge opposite of Sweat, right? Like, there is no starter that you're like, I mean, I guess offensive line, but even then, yeah, you could trade for a center, but I feel like with all of the improvements that Shelton has made and sort of, like I said, that gelling, like, are you really going to be that quick to replace your center when he's been playing better? I don't know. Like, there aren't a ton of holes on this team.
I agree. I'm also curious with the offensive line because Ryan Bates was supposed to be the starting center. When he is healthy, I wonder if they insert him at guard. Oh, I mean, do you want to disrupt this at all? I guess we wait and see till they play a better pass rush. Granted, Washington just lost another defensive lineman, so we may not get that test until it's too late. So, I mean, I feel like they have to have some sort of metrics with this line that are grading who they're playing. But though, I mean, the nice thing with them specifically though is, granted, we have not played good teams. They're not lost anymore on stunts, which is a huge improvement from the first couple of weeks. So there are things that you can tangibly still see even against weaker competition.
Yeah, I think an outside an edge rusher is like, it's got to be. I think it's one of those things you can never have enough.
Yeah,
right. And also, like, we were talking about Crosby, and like also acquiring a star like that, it also takes away from like the teams in your division possibly thinking about making that move. Because with this division being so good, the Hutch injury, like, other teams in our division would be motivated to make a move like that as well. So that's something to consider. I was also thinking, like, how much longer is this Hassan Reddick thing going to happen with the Jets where he keeps like holding out? Like, at what point are they going to be like, let's just wash our hands of this?
Yeah.
Or him, or like, this has got to be one of the dumbest holdouts I've ever seen. Like, the dudes owe so much money in fines, and he's not going to get a deal. It adds to the disruption of the franchise. Like, that's clearly the locker room's not in a great situation. It's like, all right, like, Pole's like, get Joe Douglas on the phone, just like see if something could happen here. Talk to Hassan. Maybe maybe we can offer him something to like recoup some of the money that he's lost. Okay, and put him in the rotation.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, I like Daryl Taylor, but like at the end of the day, like he's a depth guy. He's not a game changer. So like Hassan Reddick has proven himself to be a game changer at times in his career.
And with this Hutchinson injury, like now it kind of speeds up the clock a little bit, in my opinion, if Ryan Poles does want to make a move to get like if he was always kind of exploring what the market could look like, I feel like this only accelerates it, because not only is a team looking for another pass rusher due to a season-ending injury, it's a team in your own division. So sure. I was just taking a look right now. The Athletic was possible replacements for Aiden Hutchinson, Jadeveon Clowney, Hassan Reddick, Zadarius Smith were the three names that they came out with. Would any of those guys, I know obviously you mentioned Reddick, would either of those other guys really move the needle for you? And Clowney or Zadarius Smith?
Dude, Clowney really been washed.
Yeah.
Like, I know the numbers say like, oh, like he had a good year last year, like these last couple of years, but like you just watch him like he doesn't explode off the screen. He's just he's just another supplemental piece. He's not like you're not acquiring a star. He's not what he was. So,
yeah.
No.
You know what? I was talking about Trey Hendrickson, thinking in my mind he was like 32. He's only 29. I say only, but that's still the prime of his career. Yeah. Give me him.
I just can't.
Give me Trey.
I just don't know if I don't know if the Bengals would trade their best pass rusher in a season where they're potentially going to lose their second best wide receiver if they don't pay T. Higgins.
I mean, but you may be in a little bit of a retooling year next year for them in the offseason and such. I don't know. Spot. They're in a weird spot, but they're going to have to make a decision.
The injuries to Burrow have they've really screwed him. Well, I think you just look at the Browns roster and you just go up and down and see what you can get, because like I don't know what you do with that Browns thing at this point. It's that
I feel bummed out for some of those dudes.
Yeah,
like
someone tweeted the other day.
A shitty situation.
It is, and they were like, what's worse for Browns fans is that when we were growing up watching them suck, we all felt bad for them. That was a team where you'd be like, oh man, I really wish they can get something together, get a playoff run, win a bowl one day. Now they suck and no one feels sorry for them at all. Everyone just hates them because of Deshaun Watson.
They probably, if I'm a Browns fan and I'm looking at what the Lions are doing right now, I'm pissed. I'm pissed because they were kind of always in it together. They were always the two teams that you're just like, God damn. One of these two jackasses is going to fucking figure it out. And they never could. And now the Lions are obviously one of the better teams in the NFC, and the Browns are just, like you said, Frank, they're just kind of a joke.
Yeah. Dude, don't keep me on this podcast too long. You think, Cowboys aren't so good? Maybe a couple firsts for Micah? Get him in there opposite of Sweat?
No. Come on. That's right.
I think let's go get Myles Garrett. How about that, huh? If we're gonna get crazy, let's get really.
I wouldn't hate that at all.
Crazy.
So let's just go for every corner. Like T.J. Watt, is he next on your list? Like we're just gonna go for every cornerstone guy.
He's on Justin Fields' team. They're going to the Super Bowl. Haven't you heard? He's the best player of all time. And how stupid are we as Bears fans for wanting to get rid of a guy who consistently looks the exact fucking same as he like I was watching that game and I'm just like, this is Justin Fields. Like this, we've seen this so much. It's the same shit week in, week out.
It is nice to see though him on the Steelers, because the one point that we have all made, I think, about the guy is one, we like him. He's a good dude. He's a super athlete. He can be very fun to watch, but he does have qualities that you can win with and not because of. I think we're already starting to see the differences between someone like Caleb and Justin. And I think Pittsburgh's doing a good job of maximizing what he can do and hiding what he can't do, what he's really bad at. So even though he's still fumbling way too fucking much, he's never going to figure that out. But like, he is who he is. And does that make him a quote unquote bad quarterback? No. I think when you stack it all up, the pros and the cons, he's probably average to above average week to week. But like, that's all what we said. But I hate that there's no nuance to it. I know you're tongue in cheek, but like Twitter is just like, oh my God, he has a good game. Bears should have never traded him. And it's like, relax. This is who he's always been. He's had good games for us. He's had exciting games for us. This is who he is.
I want to bring this back to Caleb real quick, and because it is something I was thinking about. It was so refreshing to see Caleb when he ran against the Jaguars. He didn't take an extra couple hits here or there. He slides and he does a very good job of protecting himself when he runs. And it's not to the point where I'm like, when he runs, I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Like, is this going to be it? Because how many Bears seasons have we seen where it's just like the quarterback takes a crazy hit and they miss a few games and that's kind of the season. Like, Caleb just seems to have a good understanding, a good feel for where to go on the field and when to slide. And it is very refreshing to have a quarterback who is more than willing to protect himself. And again, we're seeing that a little bit more over these last few weeks, obviously, than earlier in the season, where he was taking a few unnecessary hits on like screen passes and things like that. But with that being said, just watching Justin again in Pittsburgh, where it was like one read and go, it's like that can win you games. Like, let's not get it twisted. But is that going to be something you can consistently build around, especially build an entire offense around? And obviously we saw that the answer was no, at least here in Chicago. I feel like what Caleb is doing right now is much more sustainable, and it's good to see that he is more than willing to protect himself when he does run.
Agreed. I totally agreed. And it's also, we see the exponential version of Justin. It hasn't worked yet with Lamar Jackson either. And I don't think he's necessarily always one read and go. Obviously, they have a lot more nuance to their offense, but if someone that elite, because I think he's a better passer than Justin too. If he hasn't figured it out yet, I think to heighten your point, Jack, I don't think Justin will neither. He has to get more consistent in the pocket.
I mean, if there's anything that is the last like season and 6 games to us, is like Lamar has made an effort to become a better passer. It's like he's unquestionably so much better because he knows what's sustainable and what's necessary to win playoff games. And Jayden is still learning, and Jayden takes a lot of hits, man.
He does.
There was one that on that against the Ravens when they were at the goal line, and he like got fucking popped, and I was like,
exactly,
Jesus.
Dude. And like he keeps getting up right now, but like we're only 6 games in, like,
yeah.
And his OC used to be the head coach for a quarterback named Kyler Murray. When was the last time Kyler made it through an entire season where he looked like himself? His rookie year, maybe. Like,
well, now he's got his Call of Duty sponsorship, so he's got other things to worry about. All right.
Well, yeah, he's making money in other ways, you mean? So it's like not that big a deal if he misses some time. Yeah. But like
money
that
on
guy
top
never ends. That guy never ends the season healthy. Like he's always getting banged up. And Jayden, it's concerning because they just keep running him out there. Like there's been games he's gotten like 10 plus carries like often.
And he doesn't have he does not have the frame that Cam Newton and Andrew Luck. Yeah, he just doesn't have that frame that those other two
he gets popped
had.
And his head like whips back. It's just like, yeah, man, like you can have him. Like he's a great talent. He looks like he's going to be good as long as he's on the field, but I'll take our guy.
Yeah, they're saying he takes a lot of hits, all the hits. That's what I've heard. A lot of them. A lot of people are saying it.
That's what they say.
That's what they're saying.
I'm not saying it, but I've heard people saying that.
Yeah.
That he takes all of the hits, and the hits aren't good.
No, they're not good at all. They're not good. But when I was in office, he didn't take any hits. When I was in there, he took no hits.
And those hits are eating the cats and dogs. It's crazy stuff.
All right, fellas. Any parting words? I love that. These are the episodes that I truly do love because they're more open forum. And next week will be I think we'll have some more report card things we're looking forward to. But there's no game to really break down anymore. Or not anymore, but like for these couple of weeks. And then we can sort of look forward once the bye week is over with. But yeah, I had fun. Any parting thoughts from either of you?
I'll give one quick one, and Nas touched on it way back at the beginning of this episode. The slow start shit has got to stop. And it's driving me fucking nuts because Frank, you and I talked about it after the Panthers game, where it's just like that first drive, it's just like what is going on? Like, and I texted both of you in our group chat, and I literally said, what do they practice during the week? Do they practice during the week? Because it's 2 straight drives, the opening drives, where it just looks like shit. And it's just it's okay. Obviously, they got things figured out, and it ended up being fine against a 1-4 Jaguars team that's just absolutely terrible and implodes on itself. But against better teams, against Jayden Daniels, who, can score efficiently, like, you can't get down that far in games against better quality teams. It's not going to work. The slow shit stuff start shit has got to stop.
Yeah,
it's got to stop.
That'll be on the docket for next week. The first 15 scripted. It may be a little bit dated, but they still have not done it until the Jaguars game, so it didn't look any better with it. But yeah,
I think they did it in the Panthers game.
Oh, is that they said the Panthers? I know they said they just started it.
I think they started in the Panthers game.
I don't know if that helps or hurts whether how I'm feeling about the opening, because both those opening drives fucking sucked ass. And then
it's frustrating because it's like this team kind of has this like if you go back to the Matt Nagy days where it's like I just got to get in the flow of the offense and plays just kind of string together like he's a fucking maestro. Like, fuck that shit. Like, have a plan and go execute. Figure out what Caleb's best plays are, what he wants to implement, and fucking go, because we saw it with the no huddle. As soon as they got into a rhythm, the dude was just going. And just if you get off to better starts, we're not complaining, because there are some. What I will say for Shane Waldron's like a positive for him, some of those fucking play designs, just that's what we've been asking for, man. Some of the key, like on that 4th and 1 where they throw a slant to Keenan Allen. Oh my god,
dude,
that was a bullet too.
Like right in his hand, and Keenan just snatched it out of the air.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It's crazy how simple some of that stuff is and should be, and like that double fake up the seam to Cole Kmet. I mean, an absolute perfect throw. Like, his designs have been good. The play calling has been much improved. Some of those delayed screens that they've had, the one to DeAndre Swift, like, that's good shit. But it's just the slow start. It's just like they come out unprepared, and it drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Nas?
I think this is going to be a great talking point for next week. But yeah, for me, it's about DeAndre just kind of like helping the team get in rhythm. Like, it's very clear that Shane thinks of DeAndre as like the player that gets the offense going and helps Caleb get in rhythm. But it's like, we have now a bye week. It's like, can we look at the film and just see what DeAndre's strengths are as a runner and have those style plays, however you want to window dress them, implemented in those opening drives, so we can get real positive plays to help the team out, so you can go no huddle. Because it's just like there's like nobody in front of him, and he runs to the crowd of people, and all of a sudden we got 5 yards on 2 carries instead of like a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, we're with like we're have a 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6. And it's like, that's not how you help your young quarterback. Like, we need to find something that's manageable for Caleb to do.
I agree. I mean, but to Jack's point, Shane has gotten better and better, what seems like each week, but even within games, it seems that there seems to be adjustments. There seems to be, or maybe if they're not adjusting, there's like an overall plan that just starts to work and they impose their will. That said, you both have touched on this throughout the episode, and I guess this would be my parting thought. It's been you can only play who you play, and I'm satisfied with the way things are after 6 weeks, but we are going to have to come out to a hotter start against these better teams. You can't get down. We need this. You're down 14-0 or whatever it is against a good team, against the Packers. That game may as well be done. That's going to be tough. I mean, unless Caleb just fucking, does what he does, but which is always possible too. But like, he will. But it's what I don't want. I don't want that to always be the case. And realistically, it could be against good teams. Like, we need to show, because the one thing that I've said was, what this has shown us through 6 weeks is we are not the slop. We're not the bottom of the barrel. We're beating the dog shit out of these teams who are. So we've clearly separated ourselves from that. Now it's time for the measuring stick games. I don't think we're getting one probably until Green Bay, but like, here's where they come. So if we get popped in the fucking mouth again and we just shy away, we're going to know who we are, even if we are 6-2 going into that game or whatever the record could be. It doesn't matter. Record be damned. We have to look good against those teams. Even if it means a close loss that was one mistake, blah, 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 that will mean more than a blowout loss. It just will.
I just don't understand. Like, what's the alternative? Oh, look who they're playing. What's the alternative?
I
Losing
know
to these
we didn't
teams,
pick the schedule. It's
winning by
weird.
3.
Yeah, like Jack,
I don't
you said earlier, it's the NFL. Like,
Yep.
Wins aren't easy to come by. Like,
but also,
and like that Jags game could have easily, like that Jags game. And I was thinking about this a lot. Like, if Justin's in that Jags game yesterday, that game could have gone a totally different way.
Yeah,
we said it. Frank and I talked about it last week against the Panthers when people were like, "Oh, it's the Panthers." It's like we just saw this Bears team with Justin win last year, 16-13 against the same Panthers team, which arguably was better than, like, a little bit better, not by much, but I mean, goddamn, like, I just the hoops that the goalpost moving for Caleb is something I truly don't understand. I don't know if it's like people just don't want the Bears to ever have a good quarterback because they just really enjoy those Sunday Night Football graphics where it's like, oh, look at these lists of fucking bums they've had. Like, fucking relax, all right?
Yeah. Well, and my whole take on the whole thing, though, is we all pay attention to Twitter, probably unfortunately, but if Caleb were to have every single game like the Titans game against these bad teams, they would be fucking breaking him through the coals. They'd be killing him. He's done. Jayden's way better. Should have kept Justin. You can't have it both ways when he lights him up then. You just can't. Because you would have done the opposite if he played bad against them.
The hot take stuff is already, I mean, I
cooked.
literally just saw Gilbert Arenas say that Alex Sarr is a bust.
Oh my god!
And they haven't even played a real game. And if you think I'm lying, go look.
No,
it up.
I believe you. I swear to God. Gilbert Arenas is a fucking clown.
Have you seen Alex Sarr play basketball?
No, I genuinely haven't. Is he a bust, Nas?
I wouldn't get too excited
you bust
about him.
before? I'm not excited. I have no idea.
I mean, that's but part of Gil's like thing. Like, he will have like outrageous things. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
is that where we're headed? Is that where we're headed? Where it's going to be like Shedeur Sanders? He's a bust before during the preseason.
See, that's the whole thing though. It's that whole language just is irresponsible. I could have done the same thing because I hated Zach Wilson just as a prospect. I did not think he was good. I did not think he should have gone in the first round, let alone number 2. I was not walking around calling him a bust because you still have to prove that you can't play. You still have to prove one way or the other. So to say like, hey, I'm not in love with the guy, I don't think he's going to be a good NBA player, that's different than calling someone a bust already. That's just irresponsible journalism or media personality, whatever you count him as. But he is a clown.
Agreed.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when does it? Like, is that just where we're headed? Where it's just like rookies?
No, Jackie, we're not headed there. Anymore? We're there. We're there. That's sports media.
Wild stuff.
I know.
I mean, it's, I feel like Bo Nix is like the perfect example of like what you'd expect from a rookie quarterback, where it's like he has good moments, dude. And then but like he'll win some games, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, I kind of see it, and then he has some games where it's just like, what the fuck?
And Will Levis. Caleb's gonna have a couple more of those clunks.
He's not gonna finish the season with 11 games left. He's not gonna finish with 11 straight games of 120 plus passer rating. That's not gonna happen. It's just not.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love
also,
it.
I do want to point out, like, with all the Jayden love, and he's playing great. The guy has thrown 6 touchdowns, guys.
Yeah,
6. Let's just
he has ran for 4. So as
to be fair, I think he's run for 2. I think he has 8 touchdowns.
I thought
I saw 4. Yeah, it was a Twitter graphic though. They could lie.
Let me double check.
Like just because, and I want to be fair because on this podcast, I myself have said, who cares how the quarterback scores
4. He has 4.
I just want them
6,
to score touchdowns.
6 passing, 4 rushing.
With Justin Fields, that was kind of that was my thing. So I just to be fair. But
it's also, again, it's not that even that type of scoring isn't sustainable.
Exactly.
You don't want that.
No,
like he's not.
You want your quarterback to throw. Yeah.
Like Josh. No,
he's not.
Josh Allen is like such a rare breed of athlete, like that can actually take that, and even he is starting to like break down a little bit. Like you can't expect that.
But there's also so much luck at play when it comes to like your body's durability, because Cam Newton was bigger and stronger and faster than Josh Allen, and even his body broke down eventually. Like, it just happens. And when you start to slow down, I mean, we saw it with Russ, different, but I think you guys are good. I'm saying once he lost that ability to be that magician in the pocket and evade those throws or evade the tackles to make throws out of structure of plays, he became below average, because he just a pure pocket passer was never what he was. So when you start to lose the one thing you're elite at, and it's not throwing the football and diagnosing defenses, you decline fast.
Running quarterback.
And I'm not saying
Jayden
Jayden can't do those things. Jayden has looked good. I don't think
agreed.
any of us are saying Jayden can't do those things. And like, but you take those rushing touchdowns with a grain of salt, because of the two things, like, that's going to be the thing that's less sustainable long term.
That is honestly the most frustrating thing, and we can end this podcast whenever you guys want, but I think that's the most frustrating thing about this conversation for me. It's like, I don't want to just bring up all these negative stats on Jayden Daniels, because I truly don't care if he's good or not. Like, it doesn't, I don't care. It's been fun to watch. I would much rather there be good quarterbacks in this league than shitty ones like Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell running around. But like, I truly have nothing against Jayden Daniels.
He's played great.
Yep,
it's been fun. And I had a Packers friend text me yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, did you see that play? The Cardinals, they stole a defensive pass interference." I'm like, I'm watching Ravens Commanders, because that's a way more fun game for me to watch. I don't care about Packers Cardinals, please. So, but it's just like, I hate that we're being put in this position as Bears fans to just constantly have to defend Caleb. I mean, we don't have to, but it's just like, it feels insane to me, where it's just like people refuse to give Caleb credit, but then just on the opposite side, they're just, Jayden can do no wrong. And it's just like, I don't want to live in that world where we're just constantly having to shit on Jayden Daniels, because it doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing we
come at Caleb, all right?
Yeah. Well, the one thing we haven't touched on.
Stop shoving him to the ground. Throw a flag, please. Protect Caleb, for the love of God.
Well, he's done a good job of protecting himself too. And Jack, you can get us out of here after this. But the one thing we haven't touched on, and we probably should more. Naj, you brought up a point that me and Jack really haven't touched on yet this year. People do just dislike him. A lot of preconceived notions that were wrong. You've heard his teammates say that. Cole Kmet said that. DJ Moore said that. Look, this media narrative we heard, and we came into that dinner expecting, and like, we met him, and he's total fucking opposite. We love the guy. He's great. So for whatever reason, and this happens to athletes sometimes, it is what it is. Earlier in the episode, I said we know what it is. There's two things at play here. People are very fragile when it comes to their own masculinity. So when someone who does things who isn't as traditionally masculine, like the painting the nails thing, like maybe he danced a little more, I don't know, feminine or whatever you want to word it, than you like at a game you saw the clip of, you get like, people get weird about that for whatever. I mean, they're homophobic is what it is. And he's black. Those are the two things that are at play here. We know what it is. And I'm not saying he's gay. I'm just saying people look at him and they deem that as like a gay quality. And then that's it. Like, they're, I'm out on the guy. And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Because as a matter of fact, I'm rooting for Caleb to be gay. If he becomes the greatest gay athlete of all time, could you imagine Boys Town in June? I'm fucking all in. I'm going with the assless chaps, and I'm on the first float out there with Caleb. Are you kidding me?
He had his girlfriend's family at the game in London.
Yeah, no, I know. It's so silly. But again, it's just this weird traditional thing that if any male athlete does something that is, it's why Harrison, on the opposite end, not to get too fucking deep here, but it's why Harrison Butker has gotten zero pushback. Because regardless of whether or not people agree with his religious views, they look at him as, oh, well, he's a traditional man. He's a masculine, even though I think he's the most undercover gay in the fucking world. It's ridiculous how
he's a kicker.
Yeah, well, he is also a kicker. But like, do you know what I'm saying? Like that's why that contrast exists. Even taking race out of it, that's why no one fucking says anything outside of a few tweets that pop off on Twitter. But you'll see all these narratives written about Caleb because of that. It's stupid.
It is stupid.
Look at fucking woke Frank coming out here. Let me tell you guys about John Brown, okay?
Listening to what's not stupid is listening to the real Bear With Us podcast, not those fucking phonies over there who steal our views and our name. I'm just going to say it. They stole our name. All right, go look it up for yourselves. They stole our fucking name. They did. I'll call them out. And I want to know why they stole it.
Because it's a great name.
I don't have to, because it's a great name. It is. I get it. You're jealous.
I don't think I've laughed harder in public than when I saw the text that there was another bear with this podcast.
Fucking insane. What an insane way to
I
figure
was
that
just
out,
by
though.
myself, and I just started fucking laughing with headphones in, and people looked at me like I was crazy, but it was like one of the funniest moments ever.
Well, you know what's not crazy is listening to the Real Bear with Us podcast. We do really appreciate you guys listening to this podcast. We have a lot of fun doing it. We sometimes do instant reaction. Sometimes there's 3 of us. Sometimes there's 1 of us. It just depends on the day, but we do enjoy it. I'm Jack. That's Naz. That's Frank down there in the bottom right. Although I don't quite know how YouTube might lay this out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
You
know how
won't
the
see
recording's
anybody
always
on-
different. Yeah.
You won't see anybody on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if that's how you decide to listen to us jokers talk about the Bears and wokeness and everything in between. We like to talk about it all, but we do appreciate you listening. And we got a bye week, so we're going to talk some overall, some more. We're gonna zoom out on this Bears season. We're gonna talk about overall things. What those overall things we still haven't decided, but we will eventually. We'll get there. But we do appreciate listening. Until then, thank you guys. Naz, Frank, have a wonderful evening. Go Bears.
Later, y'all.
Peace.